Hi, I'm Kithran and welcome back to my Battletech Advanced 3062 play-along. Now, last time we started, well, somewhat differently to most play-alongs. We didn't start with all the setup and this is the features, the options we're using and all that sort of stuff. Nope, we went straight into a mission. I did that deliberately, mainly because I thought that first mission would take some time, and yep, it did. But now that's out the way, I'm going to go through a bit of the background and general stuff you've got in the game before getting on with our next mission. Now, the premise of Battletech Advanced is you're in charge of a mercenary unit, and you've got a few mechs to start with, as we saw on the mission, and you've got a couple of dropships. You've got a little dropship, this one here, it's a Leopard, that's what gets us to and from planet side for missions. And then we've got a bigger dropship that's actually attached to the Argo. You can see it's looking a bit battered, worn out. That is indeed the case. So you get the option to upgrade it over time as your finances improve and what have you. But at the start, it's barely functional. But it keeps us alive and gets us from planet to planet if we need to. Anyway, as I mentioned, we're a mercenary unit, which means we've got one very important thing, our finances. Every 30 days or so, every month, you've got a financial report. Basically, it needs to make sure you've got enough money in the bank to cover your running expenses. That's upkeep on the Argo, upkeep for your mechs, wages for all your pilots, and that's why things like armour damage doesn't actually cost anything to repair. That's sort of subsumed into the maintenance cost of the mechs. But the more mechs you actually have, the more cost you got. The more pilots you've got, the more experienced they are, the more cost, and the more you upgrade the Argo and repair the Argo, again, the more your costs go up. But also, you can take bigger, better paying missions. Anyway, this is the main management screen. Down here we can see we've got a couple of options: hiring hall and the store. Let's go to the store first of all. It's also an option on the left. This is where you can buy various bits and pieces. The cost can be affected by your reputation with the owner of the system. In this case it's Steiner, and we've just got a indifferent reputation for them. That's sort of the default reputation with just about everyone at the start. So we're paying a 10% up increase on all costs for buying things from the store. But as you get a better reputation with the various factions, you can get both better prices and also access to more things. Ultimately, when you've maxed your reputation with a given faction, you can actually choose to ally with them, and then you get access to this extra tab in the middle, which can give you better things, more unique things, basically stuff that isn't available in the general store to just anyone. Likewise, if you get a really bad reputation with someone, you can't access the store at all. Now, the other option we had down there was the hiring hall. This is where we can recruit extra pilots. The little indicator here shows what they can actually pilot, and everyone will either be a mech pilot, a vehicle pilot, or both. And as you can see, there's a few of them. Some we can't actually hire yet. Our mercenary review board rating is too low. We just basically don't have a good enough rep as a mercenary company to for him to actually consider us when he's looking for a job. Which, you know, if you look at his skills, he's actually pretty good. Anyway, that's the store and the hiring hall. Next up, we've got the command centre. We'll come back to that because that's where you go to get missions. Below that, we've got the barracks, and this is where we can look at all our pilots. These are the ones we've started with. Now, if you can count, you'll count there's actually 7 here, but it says 6 of 12. Well, that's because Whiskey, down here, he's our commander. He's actually got a cabin of his own. He doesn't share the barracks with everyone else. Now, you notice some of them have got various icons on here. If I look at Slapdash, I'll explain what they are. You've got 4 skills for every character. When you hit level 5 in a skill, you can make a choice of an ability to get. But only 2 skills can get abilities at level 5, and then of those 2, only one of them can get an ability at level 8, and the same one gets an ability at level 10 as well. So if you look at Giant in comparison, he's got Guts and Tactics at 5, and he's got options taken there. So he's got Target Painting, and he's got Redundant Components. But, as you see, some of our characters, they've got a little bit of experience from doing the mission, the training mission. So let's see if we can get some experience on these. Actually put that experience to use. So, Blaze here. She's driving the galleon. I'm going to put that into Tactics.
Training confirmed, Commander.
Death Crusade is going into Tactics as well. One thing I try and get is get everyone to at least level 4 in everything.
Training complete.
Standing by.
Giant, he's got 866, but the minimum XP needed to get increase his skill is 1600, so he can't do anything. Slapdash again. Tactics.
Standing by.
Tin Man has no experience. He wasn't with us last time.
Standing by.
Tinker can get a bit guts.
Training confirmed, Commander.
You notice as well, some of these have got dots in. These are abilities that you get when you reach that skill level, whether or not they don't require you to take an ability like you do at the bigger squares. And finally, Whiskey, and he can't do anything either. Okay, so that's the barracks. Next up, the mech bay. This is where we've got all our mechs and vehicles, and we've got an example of an occasional issue with the game, because as you see here, we've got mech bays, vehicle bays, battle armour bays. These are all mechs. This over here is the odd one out. It's a vehicle. Should be in the vehicle bay. Unfortunately, it's not. There is actually a fix for this bug if it occurs, and that's to store it. It says store battle map because it's just a generic message. It's no longer in the mech bay. It's not in a vehicle bay, but if we look in storage, we've got a galleon. I can ready that. Again, it says battle map because that's by default, but if I look in the vehicle bay, it's going to become available shortly. In case you're wondering, the swordsman, that was another mech that I started with, but I decided not to use it given what weapons it had. So I decided to store it to keep down costs, because the more mechs I've got in here, the bigger my monthly costs are. Also, that might cause problems, and it could have caused us to lose that galleon tank, so it's probably a good job I did that. Engineering down here, this is where we can upgrade the Argo. At the moment it says upgrade in progress. We're actually working on an upgrade at the moment, which we see on the main screen. Repair power conduits. If you can afford it, it's generally good to be doing an upgrade all the time. Mainly because these take time, and quite a lot of them don't take that much money to take place. So if you can get an upgrade going, it's generally useful. Navigation. I mentioned planets. Well, there's a few planets you can go to. That's just some explanation of the map, but this is the map of the Inner Sphere, and we're down here in the Lyman Commonwealth, Steiner space. Ultimately, I want to get over here. The Free Rashlager Republic. They're not exactly big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets in total. But I want to see if I can get allied with them, because they're one of the few places that you can actually get something called land air mechs, or LAMs. What those are, in Battletech you've got battle mechs, which are basically walking robots. You also got aerospace fighters, which, as the name indicates, sort of would give you a clue about. They're fighters, they fly in the air and also in space. And what a LAM is, is basically a cross between an aerospace fighter and a battle mech. You don't have really the aerospace side of things in Battletech, but LAMs can go into an air mech mode, which basically means that they move. Think of it a bit like a VTOL. They move a lot faster, or a helicopter. They move a lot faster on the map. They're not affected by terrain, and that can be really useful for scouting. And we've got the command staff, which is basically just takes us to various people that we can get to from these menus, and the captain's quarters. And one thing we can do down here is we can customise our company, because I don't know if you noticed up in the left, we're called Masons Marauders. That's just the default name. We don't even have anyone called Mason in the unit, so I'm going to change that. And at the same time, I'm going to pick a logo. Now, I've had a quick look through here, and there's plenty of assorted logos, but there's nothing that screams whiskey at me. If you're familiar with Battletech, some of these will be familiar. I mean, there's this one that's got a sort of Scottish-looking beret or tam o' shanter on a planet, but I don't really think that's for us. What I did see, though, that was quite nice is that one. After all, we're mercenaries. We're after it for the bags of loot. What we can also do as well is we can change our colour scheme, and we can basically pick a primary colour, secondary colour and an accent. So let's go for something a bit different. Darker purple, I think. Not quite black, but dark grey. What about for the accent? Actually, yeah, let's go for that blue. Oops, went past it. There we go. Let's save that. And there's a memorial down the bottom. At this stage, thankfully it's quite blank. Now, with those colours we've chosen, if we go into the mech bay now, don't know if you remember, but there we go, we got a different pattern on the chameleon. It's basically using our colour scheme now. You can go through various options. I think I'm going to go for pattern 1 though. Let's choose pattern 1 for everything. So pattern 1 for the blackjack. Yeah, no, that's pattern 2. Let's look at pattern 1 for him. Yeah, that works. The wolfhound. Ooh, like the skull. That looks cool. And the commando. And finally the locust. That's on pattern 1 already. Excellent. Okay. So, with that all done, I think we're ready to go to the command centre. This is where you'll spend quite a bit of time, because this is where you get missions. Now, let's see what we've got. Dead or alive? Okay, better do a bit of explanation. This bit here shows you the difficulty rating. More skulls, the harder the mission. So half skulls are easier, 1.5 are the hardest amongst these. Then we've got a bit of a explanation about it, the type of mission, assassinate this one in this particular case, urban, what sort of environment it is. Unsurprisingly, urban means it's in a town, so it's in a city, basically lots of buildings. Maximum pay, maximum salvage. You'll see when we take a mission that you can choose to go for lots of money and not much salvage, lots of salvage, not much money. Maybe you're more interested in just getting reputation, and then you've got a bit of a description. Now, this tells us it's going to be against Rashlagan. Now, the Free Rashlagan Republic, they're who I want to go and ally with. So, taking a mission that lowers my reputation with them Don't think I want to be doing that. So, not interested in that one. Letter of marque. Lyman citizens have been suffering at the hands of local brigands. Remnants from it's another Ashlagan one. This is a battle in an urban environment. But again, don't really want to do that. So then we want to the one skull missions. So we've got capture base, urban environment from pirate convoy. So that's going to be against pirates. It's a harder mission, but we've got same amount of salvage but better pay and more reputation gain. Another assassination against Cretan leader. Urban environment again. Defend base in urban environment against Blakeist forces. Blakeists, Word of Blake and Comstar, they're a couple of factions. You've also got the Inner Sphere houses and you've got the clans. Now, one important detail here. Normal military forces, the Inner Sphere forces, they operate mechs in lance and vehicles in lances of 4 generally. The clans, they use stars instead of lances, and there are 5 mechs or vehicles, and that isn't accounted for in the skulls and the difficulty level. Comstar and the Word of Blake, on the other hand, they use lances of 6. So you've got to bear in mind, if it says Blakeist, it's going to be a little bit harder than it would indicate on the skulls, just because of the sheer number of bad guys. Then we've got Mopping Up. Battle in the Highlands against Marek Lances. Marek Lance, 1.5 skulls. And finally, Noisy Neighbours. Urban battle against Blakeist forces. That would be really hard. One thing about missions is these are, you can do as many missions as you like. The thing that takes time is travelling between systems, any maintenance. So we need to wait a day because we're bringing the galleon out and we want to actually be able to use that. So we're going to advance it by 1 day.
That work order you submitted is complete.
And we've got a standard event. It always happens right near the beginning of the game. Basically lets us confirm Merc News subscription. Brings us lots of information about things going on, and it adds galactic map events. So it just gives us some background. Now all this background is actually based on the Battletech lore. This is 3062 relevant information as opposed to being stuff in the basic game, but all this is based on the actual lore of the Battletech game. But you notice there it's disappeared from the sort of timeline of events. The ship's upgrade is now in 9 days and the financial report is now due in 24 days. If we look quickly in the mech bay, go to vehicle, the galleon is now available. So we can quickly head into the command centre and actually take a mission. And I think of the 1 stars, that one is against Blakeists. That's going to be harder because of that. So to start with, I'm going to go for the better paying of these 2 ones. Ordnance depot capture. Negotiate. Now, as I mentioned, we can increase our salvage or our payment. Now, what this means here is at the end of the battle we're going to get salvage. There'll be all the various items available for us to pick from, and we'll be able to pick 2 of those that we'll definitely get, and then we'll get another 7 at random to give us 9 in total from everything else that's left. On some missions you can get a situation where you're actually going to get everything, because either because so much stuff has been destroyed or it's a well-paying one or whatever, and you actually end up getting, sort of, you can just pick anything because you're going to get everything. But most missions you've got to make some sort of choice. But we'll go for that. So we've got our First Lance, we've got Whiskey in the Chameleon, Slapdash in the Blackjack, Death Crusades in the Wolfhound, Giants in the Commando. We've got Tinker in the Locust, and we just need to bring our galleon in and put blaze in it, and we're ready to go. I'm just going to pause it here because the loading of missions can take quite some time. Sorry about that, I was a bit slow on hitting pause on the recording, but we're now ready to start the mission.
Command interface initiated.
Because that's an urban mission, we actually land by drop pod. As you see, we've got our drop pods there. And I think you'll agree, this is definitely an urban environment. And one thing special with most urban missions, you've got this extra objective. We've got our main objective with the big cross, but the secondary objective are extra things you can get for missions. Now this one is a special one you pretty much always get in urban environment, in urban missions. Avoid collateral damage. Destroy fewer than 2 buildings. The number changes to avoid penalties. Destroy 0 for a bonus. So that's good. I'm always up for a bonus, and we need to go over there. Now, one thing with urban battles is you get these nice long roads that are nice and quick to run along, but also you get, well, as you see here, we've got a bit of a height difference between down here and up there, and for mechs without jump jets, well, they're sort of limited. So you need to be a bit careful at times. Make sure you don't end up with a situation where
Location confirmed.
your mechs get stuck because the terrain hasn't been that cooperative. But to start with, we just move everyone up. At the moment, because there aren't any enemies, we've not got... We can move them in any order, we haven't got any sort of initiative. But I suspect when we come around the corner here, we're then going to be potentially in range to see the base. So what I might do, see if I can cheat. The chameleon here can jump. That also means I can jump on top of a building, which should give me really good sight.
Fire and jump jet.
So, I jump Whiskey up there. Well, we haven't yet seen anyone, but that position up there is really useful. Something you can do in towns especially, urban environments especially, is if you've got mechs with jump jets, you can take advantage of the buildings,
On my way.
because you get a bonus to hit things if you're higher up than they are, and they have a penalty to hit you back. So by being up there, I should be in the situation where
Acknowledged.
if when we uncover enemies, they're going to have a harder time to hit me, and I'm going to have an easier time to hit them. Likewise, we've got all these buildings round here, and as we get closer, I may well want to be taking advantage of that. But for the moment, unfortunately, being up there wasn't close enough to see anything, so I'm going to have to hop down here. I could have hopped to another building, but
On my way.
that would have probably left me in a situation where
The cake.
I wouldn't have moved as far as I could have. So my evasion, those little arrows and the number you see on the screen, wouldn't have been as high. And that matters for... matters when enemies appear, because, well, you don't want them shooting you, and a higher evasion makes it harder for them to shoot you. Ah, there we are, we're close enough. Okay. Ooh, Right, so we have another thing that can occur on urban maps, what is technically known as an ambush. Basically enemy units appearing from in buildings. And that's where the evasion is useful. If I didn't have 7 ticks of evasion, I would have taken a lot more damage there. But we've got another scimitar there. Let's see what they've got. They've got an AC5 and 2 SOMs on that one. And this one has a MRM 20 and a machine gun, which is currently jammed. Basically, stuff like machine guns you can fire once, twice or 3 times at once. The more times you're firing at once, increases your jam chance. Now, I can't at the moment see any other enemies. So what I'm going to do is reserve. And what that does is it just moves down the initiative tracker. Basically at the moment all my units have very good evasion, as you saw there. Wasn't hit. So what I'm trying to do is get through all of these guys, and I can move everyone in whatever order I like. So there's a Scorpion that's got 1 evasion and the Scimitar that's got 4. Scorpion also actually is probably the more dangerous with this MOM 20. Means it can fire 20 missiles at once. So even if you've got really good evasion, you can still do damage. So what I can do, because Whiskey here in the Chameleon is close enough, he can actually run up and kick it. I could kick it in the back, but in this case I'm actually going to kick it in the side, because that's going to do damage probably to here or here, maybe the turret, but that's the same side as well that everyone else is on. Chance of hitting with a kick, very high, and very good chance to hit with everything else as well.
Location confirmed.
Different types of melee attacks, well, vehicles you can only kick them. But the big advantage of a kick is you don't have weapons mounted in your legs normally. So that means if you kick, you can also use your weapons, like we have there. Okay, so we've got Slapdash in the Blackjack. We want to move her up. That's as far as she can move. She's not as fast, the Blackjack. But with the damage we've already done, we should hopefully be able to finish off, with a bit of luck, the Scorpion.
Firing all weapons. I think I hit something good.
So, didn't quite finish it off. But as you see, it's lost a lot of armour. So pretty much anyone should be able to finish it off. So what have we got? We've got the Wolfhound, we've got the Locust. Let's see if Tinker in the Locust can get in a situation where they'll be able to... Yeah. 7 evasion pips, so in the event that we don't kill it, it's going to not really be able to hit us. Shooting it head on, which is actually better than shooting it from this side, which was an option if I walked, because on that side it's still got a load of armour. I'm shooting it head on. It's got a lot of places with no armour. And that was what we were looking for.
Vehicle down.
So that's that. One of the 2 is down. We've still got 3 of our guys to go.
Receiving you.
We've got Giant, can't quite reach it. That way, so...
Confirmed.
give it something to think about. I don't know if you saw there, he moved really quickly. That was because once he started moving, I hit space. That just speeds up the movement. So, unfortunately, those 4 points of evasion meant it was gonna hit. And
Hey, let's see what this baby can do.
yeah, low chance again to hit, but it's at least got 4 attempts, so had 4 attempts and 4 misses. That's life. It happens. So we've just got Blaze. Now Blaze could move to shoot it. Trouble is that would leave her with very little evasion. So instead, I'm going to move her all the way over here.
Acknowledge.
So she's got the evasion. She can't shoot because, well, there's a whole bunch of buildings in the way for a start. But what she can do... I thought she could do. Damn, she can't yet. It's Tinker.
Ready for orders.
That's got sensor lock. I was thinking Blaze had sensor lock. Oh well. We're on to the next round, right. So. I think what we want to do is wait for him to move. Because we only got 2 of our guys that can act before him. That's the Commander of Giant, which has got 6 evasion, and the Locust of Tinker. After that, the rest of our guys will act after the Scimitar. What I want to do is have him move first. The reason for that is when you attack something physically, which we're now able to do. I'm just going to reserve because there's only the one of them, so that we've got all of our guys again we can choose from. When you attack something physically, you can reduce its evasion. Now, Giant in the Commando can't reach this Scimitar. You can only do a charge, which is not what we want to do. So let's have a look at Chameleon. Now Chameleon can reach it and do a kick. Can try and kick it in the side, which is what we want to do. We've got 4 attacks.
Move order received.
Yep. See, we've knocked 2 of the evasion off, and we've got through the structure on that side. Okay.
Orders.
Slapdash is not going to be able to reach, and is not going to be able to get to the same side. So I think we'll wait on Slapdash. Death Crusade in the Wolfhound, though, is able to reach for a melee attack and able to kick it from behind.
Targeting for physical attack.
Let's have a look at it. Okay, so it's lost a lot of its armour in the back, some from that side, and all from that side.
Good to go.
Now we're at the point where we can jump Slapdash up here just to get a bit more of a height bonus. Shooting on this side, if I hit on the side, obviously that's good. If I hit it there, it's good. On the front, it's still got most of its armour, but if you look at a hit chance, you see we got a -2 modifier because we're higher up. So let's see if we can hit.
Roger.
I don't know if you saw, we had most of the numbers coming up were
Target's
white,
taking a critical hit.
and that was hits on armour, but a couple of the numbers that floated up, a couple of the 8s were, well, an 8 and the 6 rather, were orange, and that indicates you've hit internal structure.
Yep.
Okay, we got giant. What we can do,
On my way.
increase the chance of hitting. If you move rather than sprint, you got less of a penalty on your chance to hit. Because it's so battered, I fully expect it to be blown up. Yeah, you see, I've got moved self, only it's only a +1. So
This should be good.
there we go. Taking that out as well.
Move her down.
We still want to move everyone because we don't want to be sat still.
Moving out.
Because it's still saying pacify the area around the base. That means somewhere out there may be other enemies. And we got Tinker.
Receiving you. Aye, aye.
Just send them out a bit so that we're a bit more spread out. We're covering more of an area. They're both fast moving, so they got decent evasion. So if enemies do spawn there, they're able to get away and get back to us.
Heads up.
There we go.
You've got hostile contact.
We've got hostile contacts inbound. So let's see if we can see anything anywhere. Destroy pirate reinforcements. No, it doesn't give us an indication on. Oh, there you go. So, we've got one down there. One there which you can actually see, which is a fire starter. Don't want that getting too close to our mechs because we tend to be using energy weapons. Unknown mech and unknown mech. Okay,
Reserving action.
like last time, we want them to come up. So we've got the fire starter coming out. Oh, no, that's a different fire starter, so they've got 2 fire starters total. And this is why... Yep, there was the one up there. If you look, this one here that hasn't moved yet, it's got 8 evasion, and it's got guarded. That's because they've just spawned in. They have spawn protection. That's why I didn't move out immediately and start trying to fight them. We want them to move first. See, this one, he's moved already. He's only got 3 evasion. And he hasn't got that little shield, which means that this one over here is guarded, so he's taking 20% less damage.
Waiting for my opening.
Alright. So, they've basically done the same with all their units. They've reserved with everything. But we've got Blaze all the way over here. She's not able to do anything at present, but... This is a dangerous location. It tells us this, these little triangles. If you hover over it, it will tell you why. A dropship is inbound to this location. Units here are at risk of destruction. What that means is if you're stood there and the dropship appears, it will squish you. That's generally considered bad. So we can sprint Blaze up to there. Let's hit space just so that it travels quicker. And if you're wondering, all this destruction of little cars and the smaller buildings, that doesn't count for the collateral damage. It's the bigger buildings, things like this, that count for that. Very small chance to hit, but it costs nothing
Right.
to try and shoot with the laser, especially with a vehicle.
Failed to connect.
Okay, so they've got a javelin. ECM protected. That means that javelin is carrying some sort of ECM system. It's also got 4 medium lasers, which is quite nice. I mean, basically that's as many lasers as our chameleon. The difference is the amount of armour. This javelin's got a little bit of damage already, so it's got some armour damage to a number of places, but it would normally have 480 points of armour. If you look at Whiskey and the chameleon, it's got the same 4 lasers. It's just as fast. It's got the 6 jump jets, etc. However, it's got 1,040 armour. Means it can take a lot more of a beating. What about that fire starter? This fire starter has got damaged medium laser. It's got damaged right arm as well. Okay. So, we need to move one of ours. We can't just sit here. I think the one to move is probably Slapdash in the Blackjack.
Waiting for orders.
The reason being, she's basically the most vulnerable. She's only got 3 evasion. I think the place we'll move her is jump her here into the woods, because that will give her cover, which is obviously beneficial. In terms of the mechanics of it, cover gives you 20% damage reduction. So it basically means if she gets shot at, she'll take 20% less. Okay, so we're shooting on this side, which isn't the damaged side. Oh, the arm's damaged a bit. So yeah, we'll take that. We'll shoot with everything. The streak missiles, they're only going to fire if there's an actual target. If those streak missiles were going to miss, they wouldn't have fired. So they're quite good for saving. Yeah, you see? Took 20% damage reduction because of cover.
Systems holding.
So it looks like we've got 2 javelins and 2 fire starters as the enemy mechs. This one is another one with 4 medium lasers, except this one doesn't have the ECM that the other one did. Okay. But we've decided, by virtue of it's the one that Slapdash could shoot, this is going to be our primary target. Thing is, until you've got through the armour, any enemy battle mech or vehicle is going to be doing the same amount of damage. So if you had 2 lances of identical forces fighting away, and one lance was just shooting at its equivalent member in the opposition, and the other lance was all concentrating their fire on just one of the opposition, what would happen initially is, they'd be looking equal, both done damage to armour. But because the second lance is concentrating all their fire onto one target, it means they're going to get rid of its armour quicker, get through it, and then start damaging the actual structure and taking out weapons and ultimately taking out that mech quicker. And as soon as they've done that, suddenly they've got only 3 enemies shooting at them. And they've still got all 4 of theirs shooting back. And they're unhurt because, they were just concentrating one at a time. So...
Right here. Yeah.
Okay, so... we can't get a good angle on the commando, on the javelin. Might wait on the wolfhound. Let's see with the chameleon. Can that do? Ah, yeah, that's good. So 7 pips of evasion. Hopefully, I'm going to be high enough up here that I've going to have another +1 to hit because of the height. Let's have a look. No, I'm not, unfortunately. But yeah. The other problem we've got here is the chameleon, being a medium mech, is bigger than a light mech, so that's what that size delta is. Basically, it's to stop massive mechs having an overwhelming advantage.
I'll give 'em the whole 9 yards.
But as you saw there, we had a couple of orange numbers come up, so we've got through the structure. Ah. This is a melee attack. Now this is almost certainly going to be a charge. Yeah. So. Oof. That's nasty. That's... I'm going to want to get the blackjack out of there because I don't want to lose the arm, especially this early in the game. I've not got the resources to properly replace that if we lose that. This guy's also done a fair bit of damage to himself as well. So, because of that, and because he's charged, he's got no evasion.
Roger that.
I'm going to see if I can basically provide distraction for enemies so they don't go for the blackjack. They've got the wolfhound to go for instead.
All weapons are go. Solid connection on that one.
The other reason for doing this is a fire starter is a very dangerous mech in melee or close range. So
Affirmative.
it wants to be in close. So if you look at it, it's got 4 flamers, 2 machine guns. Those are all short range weapons. But it's already almost lost a leg, almost lost a side torso. So I can use target painting. And then I'm going to shoot him. Excellent. So we've hit him in the leg. That's destroyed the leg.
That hits him.
Because of this, he will fall down. This bar underneath is effectively the stability. Oh, and excellent. He blew himself up. That's good. Basically, when you fall over, you take a bit of damage. Oh, no, he didn't blow himself up. He just blew his side off. That's good. He's down to 3 flamers and a medium laser, so he's lost almost half his weapons. But yeah, this bar here is a stability bar. When that fills, you fall over. If you lose a leg, you will fall over straight away. But weapons that have physical impact, they can knock you over. Eventually, when you get hit by enough of them at once. You know, if you get hit by a single rocket, that's not going to do much. You get hit by a couple of 100 rockets, yeah, that's going to hurt. Likewise, you have a big sort of 30-ton mech charge into you. Ah. I think he might be bleeding out. That would be good. Because that's another way to get rid of him. Yeah. Risk that was low percentage chance, relatively speaking, but I could have taken them out. So we're now into initiative. He's on 7. He would have been on 8, but because he fell over, that knocked his initiative down by 1. Our blackjack that we want to keep alive is on 7. That guy's on 8. So what can we do? Can't do anything with a chameleon because that's going to be acting too late.
Waiting for orders.
We've got giant. We might have the wolfhound. Well, we'll be able to act before that. So first thing to do.
Aye, aye.
Can we do something to distract? Tricky this. I think what we need to do move the locust down. Give this javelin penalty to hit. Ah, in fact, we've got an even better option. We can use precise strike on it, which will knock it back in the initiative.
Hot damn. Let's do
That was a bonus in that we actually managed to hit it. So I will change what I was going to do with the commando. Instead of going down there, because we moved the locust down there to be, we can bring in the commando to kick this fire starter. Yep, we're kicking him while he's down. This is war. This is not an honourable boxing match or anything like that. Oh, he's now panicked anyway, that's good. It's now their turn to do something. They got 2 mechs to connect. So they choose to move the other fire starter. So he's generated a lot of heat in the chameleon by basically jumping behind him, hitting him with the flamers. That can be a problem because the chameleon uses laser weapons, and
Yeah? What can I do you for?
shooting lots of laser weapons can well, it does generate heat.
Understood.
So you can reach a point where, yeah, he's put a load of heat into me. If I was to fire everything, that would make me far too hot.
Consider it.
So you can use things like flamers to effectively remove weapons from the enemies because they daren't use them. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. Yeah, we got the other javelin. Okay, went for the blackjack, but luckily just hit armour. Okay, so
Yes, Commander.
Blaze. What can Blaze do that's useful? The answer is nothing. Now, if I was to delay, that would still count as us taking an action, so they'd still get to go
All
at the
right.
top of initiative 7. So I might as well bring up Blaze and just shoot the fire starter in the back, because why not?
All weapons are go.
Well, I hit once. It's a bit of a shame. They are trying to stand up with the heavily damaged fire starter. And he's going to jump. This could end badly for him. Yep. Basically, whenever you jump, you need to make a piloting check. And, well, missing a leg, unsurprisingly, can affect your piloting. What actually happened there was he jumped, he landed, failed the piloting check, fell over, took some more damage for falling over, and that was enough to knock him out. So that's why there isn't a little circle around him anymore. So he managed to take himself out.
Yes, Commander.
So, Blackjack wants to basically do something to get out of the line of fire of this javelin that hasn't acted yet. So we can do that by jumping over there.
Up high.
And I'm going to shoot at the other javelin because he's missing the armour in those 2 places. So if I hit either of there, basically if I hit with the lasers there, it's going to take off the whole arm and basically half the weapons. If I hit with the streak missiles there, it may be enough to take out their whole location, but certainly could well do some critical damage. There we go.
Reporting critical hit.
So yep, that was worth doing. So that javelin has now lost an arm. Because the torso is gone, it's lost half its weaponry. And finally, because it lost a torso and the pilot has to make a check, he's taken some damage as well. Physical actual damage to the pilot rather than
What's up, Commander?
to the mech. Now then, let's see if we're able to finish anyone off.
Double time. Let's go.
Let's give this guy something to worry about by being behind him.
Firing a full salvo.
Ugh. Don't believe it. Exactly the same thing he did to the Locust, but I think my hit chances were considerably higher than his. Okay, so we got the Commando. What's he going to do? We've got 3 guys acting on 8. Okay, that would be a charge if he was to go for that guy. But he can go for the javelin with a kick. So, let's go for this javelin with a kick.
Coordinates received. Engaging.
So he's lost his evasion now, so he's easier to hit. And I hit him. Unfortunately, didn't get through any armour. Now, I'm not really concentrating my damage here because we've got 2 javelins that damaged.
What's up, boss?
But we are doing our best. Got another one here we can kick.
Move order received.
It's not going to generate as much evasion as otherwise, but
Locked on for physical attack.
these 2 kicks have basically stripped off all the evasion from those 2 mechs. Now one of them can act now and just has, he just jumped. But the other I could get to act before. So
Commander.
Death Crusade is there. Oh, good. Let's see. Yeah. If I kick from there, this right leg, left leg rather, is already damaged. And obviously kicking from the side
Give 'em everything.
is going to guarantee that I should hit, because a kick can only hit legs. But if I'm going from the left side, okay, I should have hit the left leg. There's a very small chance of hitting the other leg, if I remember correctly. Oh no, I did hit it. I just didn't destroy it. Oh no, I kicked that one because it took 35 damage from the kick. That's good. So now let's Blaze.
Standing by.
I don't want to leave Blaze near the near that tank because near the fire starter rather,
Moving out.
because another thing flamers and the like of is good for is damaging vehicles. They take extra damage.
Mech warrior. Show 'em what you get.
Guard a critical hit.
Well, I'm doing damage to them, but they're still not dead. That's the fire starter. He's going over there. And yeah, he's shooting at the tank. And setting fire to the terrain. The tank's going to take damage when it next acts, just because it's in terrain that's on fire, which
Ready for order.
could be a bit of an issue, but anyway. Let's see. What we can do. Okay.
Firing
Let's
jump.
jump slapdash further away. Reason why I did a jump rather than a walk or a sprint is because when you jump you can choose to face any direction you like. And if I go for that javelin, the trees that are the cover are flashing. That's because I'm shooting it in the back. If I go for a precise strike on this javelin, I should have a better chance to hit. Actually no, if I go for that one, yeah, I'll go for the one that's got very little evasion, just see if we can finish it off.
Oh yeah.
No,
Good to go.
one of those days really, isn't it? Okay, so
Oh, it's on now.
continue pounding on the
You gonna feel this? Target.
okay, he's taken a bunch of damage. He's knocked over because he lost a leg. Pilot is bleeding out, that's good.
Yeah. What can I do you for?
Now we've got all this fire around here, so I don't really want to be running into that, so let's instead go for this fire starter, because I'll be able to kick him. Again, remove their evasion, and that then makes it easier for me to hit with the follow-up weapons. And he's lost an arm.
Critical hit, Commander.
A shame, honest.
Commander.
Okay, the commando. I don't really want to be running in there, so
Copy that.
go for a kick on this guy. Let's hit the other leg, which is a bit of a shame.
Waiting for orders.
If we can knock out one of these legs, it will make him fall over, which will obviously do damage, but also it drops his initiative by one.
Solid connection on that one.
Okay, it's the fire starter. Oof. Yeah. You see the locust is almost at the red line now,
Waiting for orders.
but the galleon needs to move. It says Mecho's on fire, that's just unfortunately one of those things that can't easily be sorted. But yeah, you see we've taken a bit of damage. So we've got a choice. The javelin that hasn't acted yet, 48% chance to hit, or the fire starter, far higher chance to hit, but he's already acted this turn, and we've got plenty of other guys that can go. So I'm going to see.
Copy that, Commander.
Nope, it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Attack failed.
But if you note, there's only 2 of them left. Basically because of the damage we've already... the damage they've managed to do to themselves. either by attacking or just plain falling over and hitting their heads.
Commander.
Actually, I'm going to wait on
Ready for orders.
whiskey first. So it's giving us a warning because of all the heat. So if I kick from there, it's possible that will count as being in water. But
Be there in a jiff.
I'm only going to use one weapon.
Put my weight into it.
But I've achieved what I wanted, which was taking out the leg on that guy.
Yes, Commander.
So there's only one of them left on their feet. But can I get into position to actually shoot at anyone? All I can do is head here.
No target.
Basically, because this is all raised, it's blocking my line of sight onto the javelin over there. So all I can do is shoot at the fire starter. I will go for his other leg and just try and finish it off. Yeah, successful. Destroyed the other leg. That automatically kills the mech. It count, yeah, sort of. If it hasn't got legs, it can't move. It's considered dead.
Good to go.
Okay, so we've just got this guy. Two of them can get to act. So he's got a whole bunch of evasion though. So
Yes, Commander.
let's have Tinker. Move to there. Not actually going to shoot him though with Tinker. What Tinker's going to do, I've remembered who's got the ability now, sensor lock him.
Got a lock.
That gives him -2 evasion, which means it's going to be easier for anyone else to hit him. And although he's only got 2 lasers left, he's at -2. He's got a -2 penalty on.
Yes, Commander.
So +2 penalty on actually hitting us. And
Who wants some of this, huh?
then have the commando kick him. If I take a leg out, that would be great.
My weight
Because again, takes his initiative down. Alternatively, I'll just do 40 points of structure damage, and he's lucky and doesn't actually get a critical. So what's he going to do now? He's going to go for the galleon, which is good. I'm not going to complain about that because it's quite some way away effectively. And
Something I can do.
right, Wolfhound, just going to walk up here and shoot him. Don't want to charge through the fire because, well, the Wolfhound, as you see, it's got even more energy weapons than the Chameleon.
Firing all weapons.
Oh well, maybe I should have charged through, but
Well, you just
there you
wait,
go. I'm going to wait on Blaze.
Waiting for the right
I'm going
side.
to wait on Slapdash as well, because Whiskey, I'm not going to fire any weapons. I'm just going to kick him in the back. Well, the side. Excellent. Destroyed the leg. So he's going to be on 7 initiative next turn.
That is something.
And he's punched out. And there's our leopard dropship come to get us.
Mission successful.
So we'll quickly see what we've got, and then that will be it. Slightly longer one this time, but I thought it was important to at least explain some of the rest of it. So what do we get? Well, we avoided collateral damage, so we got a decent bonus. We didn't spend that much on ammo, so yeah. Although we'd gone for maximum salvage, minimum money, we actually get a decent amount of money. 243,000 sea bills. We've got a bit of damage to repair, but it's basically just damage rather than anything being destroyed, so that's good. Chameleon did well. Whiskey did well rather in the Chameleon with a couple of kills. Slapdash got 1, Giant got 1, and Tinker got 1. And reasonable bit of XP. So let's see what salvage there is. Okay, so as I said, we get 2 picks we get to keep, and the rest we get another 7 at random from all of this. Now at this stage, getting more mechs in general are valuable. So if we just go for a couple of parts of one of the fire starters, if you have 4 parts of the same configuration mech, you can build it and it doesn't cost you anything. If you have 4 parts of similar, so if you had say 3 FS9-H and 1 FS9-S1, we could build an FS9-H, but it costs us a little bit of money just sort of adapting this. You need to have at least 2 of a given variant to be able to build that mech. Actually, instead of the Firestar, I've just noticed there are a total of 4 parts of the Javelin. So even though it's a lighter mech, we got a chance of being able to get a full Javelin, but we didn't. So we got a part of the Firestarter as well, an AC5, a total of 4 Flamers, probably not going to be something we're using a lot of, a medium laser, a fire control system Apollo, not going to be any use to us at the moment, but I think it's actually worth a fair amount. Yes, it's worth 750,000. We wouldn't get that much if we sold it, but it's worth a reasonable amount. We'll keep hold of that, and then we'll continue, go back to the Argo, and that's it. So I will see you guys next time. Catch you later.